Welcome into another episode of a Quick Timeout podcast. Today we're looking at 5 small-sided games to use during these late summer, early preseason workouts. I even have for you a few coaching resources with some additional small-sided games, so be sure to stick around to the end for that. First one here is called 1v1 blind. You're going to place a passer, could be a coach, on the wing with the basketball. The defender is going to start at the nail facing the basket, and the shooter is at the top of the key behind the three-point line. On the pass, the shooter can choose to either take a one dribble pull up to the left or to the right. The defender can't move to contest the shot until he can see the shooter out of the corner of his eye. I know that some won't like this drill because they don't like jump shot twos. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of them either. But with more teams going into drop coverage, along with the defense just making sure that they're going to take away the three-point line, sometimes the best shot in your possession is going to be an open or at least a lightly contested mid-range jump shot. I was at a D1 practice this past season watching a team prep for an opponent the next day, and the team that places a big emphasis on threes and then shots at the rim. But during one of the segments, the head coach stopped things and said, if we're going to have a chance to win this game tomorrow, we're going to have to hit some mid-range jump shots. The shot may not be the highest analytical shot across the board, but it may be the best analytical shot against some teams, or at least in certain circumstances. The next one here, a similar idea with a pull-up jumper. It's called Circle Chase 1v1. You can place a cone or a chair, like the one here in the video, on the three-point line, and the defender will be above the chair, behind the three-point line, and the shooter is inside the three-point line under the cone or under the chair. On the coach's go, the players start to run around the chair. The shooter receives a pass from the coach to then take a one dribble pull up while the defender runs around the cone or around the chair to contest the shot. Any age will benefit from this, but younger players especially benefit from going from stop to start, as well as changing directions and running in that non-linear direction. Running in that tight circle provides all of that. It's a great drill if you want to combine those things, along with the ability to, of course, shoot a pull-up jump shot. The third game here is more of a true small-sided game. It's called 2v2, one more shooting. To get the reps started, the first defender with the basketball is going to make a pass. He can pass to either perimeter player. You can start the perimeter players anywhere around the three-point line you want. On the first pass, the nail defender moves to the basketball. And if the offensive player is open, he can take that shot. If not, we want him to make that one more pass to the open teammate. And the defender who originally made the first pass is going to contest that shot on that one more pass. We really emphasize reading the closeout and taking those open threes, but then also recognizing when the teammate has a more open shot. Making that one more pass to get that higher percentage shot is a priority for us. These last two games are similar and that both work on shooting off of a handoff. With zoom actions and grenades becoming more popular, the ability of a player to take the handoff, get the body turned to the basket, then knock down the open shot, that's becoming more and more important for offensive players. So this first one is great for just repping the basics. It's called 1v1 nail handoff. The coach is going to stand on the nail and the offense can start on either elbow. The defender is going to be on the opposite elbow. On go, or like what you see in the video there, when the dish pops out the ball to the coach, the players start to move. The offensive player is always running behind the coach, and the defender is always running in front of the coach. The shooter receives the handoff while the defender touches the opposite elbow. The shooter is going to take a one dribble pull up, and the defender is going to come back to contest the jump shot. I'm going to jump right away to the next one here. This is called grenade action, and I mentioned it a minute ago. If you don't know the term grenade, this is the action that you see like Draymond Green and the Warriors run a lot for Steph. Did it for Clay too when he played for the Warriors. The player in Draymond's position has the ball and dribbles up out of the post to hand it off to the shooter. So grenade shooting one-on-one. An offensive player is on the wing. Defender is guarding him. The coach dribbles up out of the post for the handoff. Now you can put a constraint on it if you want to and require the defender to chase over the top, or you could say you have to go under the screen. But then if they go under the screen, you probably want to allow the coach to turn around and flip the screen so that on the rescreen, the shooter can come back and shoot off the other direction. So 5 small-sided games that you can use to build skill here in the early season. I've even seen some variations on what I described, so I'd encourage you to get creative, tweak things to fit better with what you emphasize, or even build out some of the more complex components of the concepts that you're running.
We've partnered with Coach Tony Miller to bring you these 10 small-sided games. Players are going to compete, have fun, and work on their decision-making with each rep. Tony's also provided court diagrams and videos to help maximize your time on the court. Go download it now for free.
Just really quickly here at the end, a Q&A with some of the common questions about small-sided games that I will get from coaches. The first one, what are some non-traditional ways to incorporate small-sided games into my practices? We'll actually use from time to time small-sided games as a warm-up. So I think a lot of times coaches think of these games as more of breakdown games of your offense or your defensive systems. We'll sometimes go straight from our dynamic warm up to like an outnumbered passing game, or sometimes something that trains skill and decision making that's not really connected to our offense or defensive systems. But something these kinds of games can do, if you construct them right, is that they force players to really focus right away and they compete. And I get this question a lot from time to time, but how do I get my team to start games faster? And something that's helped us to get off to faster starts in game is to get fast off to faster starts in practice. And these games really help us in having that mindset. The second question, how can I ensure that small sided games are competitive and engaging? And one of the keys here is balancing how much you focus on. You can help achieve that by what you reinforce and communicate as being important during a particular game. And we typically do that through our scoring. So if you really want to focus on offensive rebounding, then reward the offense for getting a rebound by giving them maybe like an extra point or an extra possession. I just caution you though, if you start rewarding, 5, 6, 7 things, then it kind of becomes confusing. And I love that you can focus on multiple things in small sided games, but I have been a part of practices where 6 things are rewarded and the players end up kind of with this attitude that nothing's important. That ends up being counterproductive to what you're trying to accomplish. Last one here. How can I adapt small sided games for different playing levels? About a month ago, we ran our first father son basketball camp, and I've got a big bank of small sided games, things I can draw on. But in most cases, I've only ever designed games for players that are at least similar in skill level. Well, now I've got an instance where there's maybe like a dad who played college basketball and is pretty athletic and still plays from time to time. And I want to match him up with a 7-year-old. It wasn't that hard to do. You think about it, how would you adjust things for a bigger or smaller advantage for two players that are more evenly skilled? You just do the same thing. It's usually adjusting things like time, maybe add more time for younger ones. It's adjusting space. So playing with more space for the younger ones or less space for the older ones or the more skilled players. And you can even adjust positioning, like placing an older player maybe further away from the basket. You can put in a constraint with skill, like they can only use one hand to dribble or they can't use their hands on defense to guard the basketball. The same things I would do to match players in different skills I can do to change a game from a different age group. Generally speaking, the older, the more skilled a player is, the more factors they're going to be able to handle during a game. So you may add more players or incorporate more concepts. A lot of things you can do to either dial up or dial down a game. A few more questions, but I'll save those for another time. Before I go, the resource that I promised at the start, if you look down in the notes, you'll see a link for a free small-sided game drill book. And in that book, you'll get diagrams and film of each of the games. Just click that link, enter your info, and it will be delivered straight to your inbox. We'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Be on the lookout for more video versions of the podcast coming here in the next few months. Appreciate you listening and watching. I'll talk to you again next time here on a Quick Timeout podcast.